What's up, everybody? Good morning. Happy New Year. It is Thursday Morning Live, and I am so glad that you're here this morning. Hey, if you're new to the show, make sure that you tell somebody else about it, like it, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. But we are in for a treat this morning. So I'm excited. You know, I had a guest that was going to be on this morning. Last minute had an emergency, had to cancel. So I have Ryan Cotter, who's been on with me before. He's my co-host of the live strategic REI meetup that's starting tonight in Chicago. And I thought, wow, what a great thing. Let's get on. Let's chat a little bit and have a great conversation before tonight. Ryan is from Chicago, but he's on his way back from Southern Indiana. So he stopped in a breakfast spot to have breakfast and join us. So I'll bring him in a minute. What I want to talk about, though, is being the new year. Here we are in the new year. What have you done differently? What are you doing differently? You know, yesterday I talked a little bit about our daily disciplines. And have you changed anything? Have you made anything different? You know, comment I want to make this morning is on leadership. You know, when you are taking a look at people around you, are you being a leader? And how are you leading them? You know, I get asked a lot when I take over a property that has a lot of employees or has any staff at all. Hey, are you firing everybody and bringing in new people? And I always am of the opinion, no, we don't let anybody go right away unless we know that there's an issue there. But we always try to keep that staff in place. One thing I always say is, hey, listen, they know where the dead bodies are buried, right? And where the issues are and what we need to take a look at. So Jack Welch said years ago, he said that he always cut, when he ran GE, he always cut the bottom 10% of his workforce every year, which, you know, in some essences makes you think that those people that were maybe going to be in that bottom or down at lower employees work a little bit harder to stay up in above that 10% to keep their job. And but, you know, he always built strong companies, right? So I believe that if we take these people that are still in place, that we breathe new life into them, that we give them operational money, we do rehabs and CapEx, that it breeds new life into them. And now all of a sudden the operations change. So take a look at that when you are going in and buying a property, how you handle that staff and what your choices are around that. Glad you're here this morning. Let me bring Ryan in. We're here every Thursday morning. And just really quickly, this is really kind of a Chicago-based show. What I like is Chicago-based entrepreneurs. So if you know someone who is a business owner, a restaurant owner, an entrepreneur here in Chicago that would like to be on this show, doesn't necessarily need to be real estate, but I would love to interview them. So please throw their hat in the ring. Let's bring Ryan in. Ryan, good morning.
Good morning.
Tell people where you're at.
Oh, well, I'm in a town called Warsaw, Indiana, on my way back for a bunch of meetings in Chicago and then our event this evening.
How far is that from here?
I'll be there about 2 hours after this,
okay.
Of course.
So it's not it's not too bad, right? And you're having breakfast, bacon and eggs. Let's see your bacon and eggs, right?
Well, I got a little coffee. I got a nice little fruit bowl.
If I would have known we were going to do a live, I'd have come meet you somewhere.
The protein.
Yeah. Nice. Hey, so how are things going?
Everything's great. I was listening to your first, a few moments of talking about keeping people and using some of Jack Welch's techniques. There's a great book that I recommend to anybody in that same sphere. It's called Top Grading by Brad Smart. It is a Bible for hiring, retaining, and at certain point in times, top grading, right? Taking the top 90%, letting the top or the bottom 10% go, and how you systematically do that. Jack Welch, one of the best. I've read a bunch of his books in terms of like how he systematically did that and making it very transparent. Right? Nobody was shocked about like when this was coming, right? Or who was
Right.
on that list of people that may not make the cut, right? So it was completely transparent, very systematized, and everybody knew what criteria they needed to, or metrics that they needed to hit to either be in the upper 90% or the lower 10%. So a bunch of really good pieces out there. Again, my favorite, plug for Brad Smart and Top Grading.
Yeah, nice. I think I've heard of that book before, but Welsh was one of those guys as a leader, as a CEO of a company that I really liked to follow. I loved some of his strategies, his focus and commitment to growing GE when he was there, and how he built that company. There's some great leaders that we've had in this country that have really left good examples, good direction, good way of building businesses. And I think we can all take heed from, I always say success leaves clues, right? So,
Yeah, don't gotta reinvent the wheel.
So I'm working on my book, The One Word, and I've been asking everybody the last couple of years, what's that one word that best describes you? And I know you've been on before, so this will be interesting because I want to see if your words changed, and we'll have
Me too.
we'll have to go back and look. But what's the one word that describes you personally and professionally?
Intentionality.
Okay, I'll let you know later because I think that I'll go
Probably
back.
similar. Maybe that's the new word that kind of popped in my head today about doing things yeah, intentional, right? Always on what you're doing in the morning, your plans, right? Like so the whether it's all the different pieces of life, the 7 different segments of family life, of planning out. Like we were just talking about a 20-year plan for our family like this past weekend, like this. Now, will it go that way? No, probably not. But we have that plan for the next 2 decades of from sports to introduce our children in, and continue to stoke the fire of their interest in whatever they see and feel is like important to them. So intentionality, right?
Yeah.
Plans, revising plans, but having a plan.
Yeah. So I love the intentionality, right? I think that we all need to be intentional about everything, starting with our daily disciplines in the morning and starting with our focus on the direction we want to go in, the education that we need, everything. I like that you sat down with your family. You guys designed this 20-year plan. How rigid are you? Do you think that, do you believe that you're going to stick to that? Are you very rigid on it? Or do you think that there's going to be changes along the way? What types of things come up that can throw that off course?
Flexibility, another word, is being able to take some broad strokes on what you want done and still leaving room for adjustment in that, right? So I'll give you a great example. So my 7-year-old, put him into swimming classes very early on, didn't like it when he was 5 and 6, and now he's 7 and 8, and the class that he's in, it was just the same level. Something just happened. The switch just turned, right? Where now, like here's the group, and here he is, in the pack, like at the other end of the pool. He's doing laps around people. I am a horrible swimmer. I'm a terrible swimmer. I'm a very good sinker. You throw me in a rock in a pool, it's a race to the bottom. So I love seeing that he is doing that when it's not at all in my strengths. Now we're looking at, okay, so which good high schools that would have excellent swimming programs, assuming that he's going to continue to do that. Right? Will that always be the case? No, but we're not going to be those crazy parents that we are going to do this and this and this. But we're also prepared to, we talked about like, man, that swimming class, or those swimming practices, they're early, like 4:30 in the morning early,
Yeah,
from
right.
all the research we've done. So are we ready for this? I'm like, yes. I mean, it could have been, and I don't mean this in the wrong way, any way, shape, or form, but it could be a hockey player. He's going to stink for 20 years. We're going to have, gym bags of just like stinky clothes in the back of our car. This is a good one. Let's go with this one.
Hey, I think every sport today that our kids are in are like that. Whether it's soccer, baseball, basketball, hockey, right?
Yeah.
And you're an avid boxer,
Mhm.
right?
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so the other thing too about building a plan, building a goal is I think you got to be flexible. You got to be able to change. I had somebody on the show last week, and she said her word was openness, open to the things that come in, and I thought that was pretty cool. Hey, why don't you tell people who you are, what you're about, a little bit about your background?
Sure. So, my name's Ryan Cotter. You can see on the screen there. I am a lender in Chicago. We specialize in. I always joke about. We specialize in the construction and the complex. So we love multifamilies, educating people on creating paths to financial freedom through leveraging financing. Right. There's a bunch of ways to enter that space. We just have a very unique one with our FHA 203 key tools, showing people how to, buy their first multi-unit property, preferably a 4-unit property. Fits really nice into our 4-3-2-1 system. Buy a 4 flat, live in one, rent out the other 3. Make sure you have no housing payment now because the rents are covering the mortgage payment. Save that money that you would normally, you'd have to put out for your housing, your roof over your head expense, and then leverage that, and then do it again and do it again. And we show people kind of like what the next steps are from just not from getting the financing, but tax planning. Right? There's an old phrase like there's 2 types of people. People that plan to avoid taxes, and the people that avoid planning for taxes. Right? The first one. Right. And that's a kind of reverse engineering. Like, so I'm planning on doing this and making this. So how do I avoid paying those taxes before I even buy my first multifamily? So that structure, kind of like any sort of plan, you got a 20-year plan. You're gonna like, I want my kid to go to right now. The plan is that he gets a swimming scholarship to college. So reverse backwards, what do I got to do, all that way to make that a potential option? Same thing with, planning for creating wealth. Like if I'm going to create wealth, I want to make sure I keep as much of it in my pocket. So who's the biggest person that's probably, or the biggest entity that's going to try to get the lion's share of that? Government taxes. So how do I plan backwards to minimize that, which gives me more to leverage and to, recirculate?
And there's a lot of tax advantages that people can take advantage of that they don't really know.
Yeah.
And I did a webinar last night, and I talked about some of those tax advantages, and I went through a list of 7 or 8 things, and I was starting to think afterwards that a lot of people don't realize this. So I think once people get educated and understand where you can save money and put more money in your pocket at the end of the year. And this is a great time of year to really be talking about this because we're going into tax time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So,
Yep. Deferment depreciation, right? Those are a couple of the good D's in the world.
right.
So, historically, D is not a great grade, but, depreciation and deferment, great tools to use in financing. And that's kind of one of the things that we got to, tell more people about. Don't just kind of like wing it and think, yeah, I want to make all this money. Well, making it and then losing it, is not the goal. Making it, keeping it, leveraging it, using it multiple times. That's the goal. So my accountant and me are great friends, right? I talk to my accountant on a weekly basis, multiple times. And we're always strategizing, talking about within the accounting world and the lending world, because they don't line up a lot, right? An accountant's job is to keep Uncle Sam's hand out of your pocket. However, sometimes they make it more difficult for you to obtain financing because they've been so aggressive on some of your write-offs. And like you were mentioning, owning real estate gives you a lot of opportunities for write-offs, right? There's nothing better. A Schedule E is your best friend. And that's a form on your tax returns for those that are newer, that gives you the ability to write off a bunch of great things that are expenses that you normally have that you can take advantage of. So understanding that, my accountant's always like, why does lenders look at it like that, but the government looks at it like this? I'm like, there's the way it should be, and then there's the way it is. Let's not get confused between the two. Let's just focus on the way it is, because that'll help us out. So understanding accounting and finance helps you leverage it the absolute best, in my opinion.
Yeah, and what's interesting is I when you look at your money, when you look at your finance situation, I said last night on this webinar I did, is your money gainfully employed? Because I think there's 4 different kinds of money, right? You have dead money, safe money, healthy money, and wealthy money. And the 1% of the country spend their time in the wealthy money. And part of that is the tax planning and the savings in that. And, here's the funny thing, right, is you and I are not even accountants. And we're having this conversation just because it's a strategy thing and we know about it.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time looking at other people's tax returns, because I'm helping them obtain financing. And real early on, I just made a habit of, when I would get somebody with really, really good tax returns, and usually the thicker they are, the wealthier you are, right? Yeah. So a book of tax returns means you're doing really, really well. And then I would take time and I would comb through all of them, know all the lines, be familiar with them. And then I would ask the client a couple questions, because people love talking about themselves and their success stories. So like, hey, you did really, really well. I just and those people knew their tax returns. It wasn't like, hey, I noticed, like, I don't even know. I'm like, I just trust my accountant. He does everything. That never really happened with the super people. It happens all the time with the people that, are growing, and those that, are just, not, focused on it. Whatever you focus on, increases. So I noticed the people that knew their tax returns inside and out had the largest, balance sheet or net worth. And so I knew I was onto something. So I just kept on asking questions. So I know tax returns really, really well.
Yeah, it's awesome. Hey, so I want to go back to the goal setting for a minute and the 20-year vision and plan. And, what's one goal that you guys are doing as a family that you're setting forward, that you're shooting for in the next 10, 20 years?
I'll shift from the swimming. I got a strategy on that one. Anybody knows me. I have a strategy doing laundry, right? Where I put things long before they even get into the washer or the dryer. I think our biggest thing that we're working for fun is, where we're going to live in 20 years, right? Mm-hmm. Where's that home that will start out as a vacation home that we will more than likely leverage financing, probably work in some component of rental into it, whether it's Airbnb, VBRO, who knows, corporate renting. But it's a plan that we're going to have. My family, will have another piece of property, someplace very warm, sunny, water will be involved, maybe a lot of water, a little water, we're not sure, but it'll all be paid off, right? Yeah. And the very little money will come from me and my family. We will leverage every other aspect, financing, passive income. We know that's happening. And we don't have to do it today. We're very systematic and patient on how we're going to find that property, when we're going to find that property. We're going to add value through through renovating and all that stuff. So it's part of our wheelhouse, our family wheelhouse. So it's exciting. Like, where do we want to live? South Carolina, Florida, not sure, right? And then we're gonna look for a number of years and find a distressed property or something that we can add value to, and then we'll pounce.
Yeah, nice. Hey, I like that that it's not going to be any money out of your pocket. That's that old, hey, other people's money uh, coming from those rentals, those in real estate investments that you acquire, leverage, have tenants in, whether that's residential or commercial, and those tenants are paying down that mortgage and creating cash flow, because the two things I always talk about are create cash flow and long-term wealth. And really, you alluded to both of those in how you're setting up that goal for the future. So that's pretty cool. Hey, what are you doing tonight?
So I'm be surrounded by a bunch of really, really intelligent, fun individuals at Hugh this evening. My good friend Michael has put together a venue, a group where like-minded, investors, developers, construction, multifamily, real estate people are going to get together, and we're going to, exchange, tricks, tips, hacks, strategies, all kinds of stuff. And it's in a nice setting. I think Chicago definitely is one of those cities that, it's nice to be able to get back out and in groups and having conversations of substance like this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is nice to go to these live events. I've been going to a number of them. Josh Mercer, a good friend of ours, it has this restaurant down in the South Loop. Be a great event tonight. We have a number of people registered, so I'm excited about this event tonight. You're going to be talking about 4321.
Yep.
And enlightening people on how to use that strategy, how to use some FHA and 203 financing. Here's something that I've really been thinking about, and you and I go to a lot of networking events, and we kind of leave it up to it's always left up to you to go up to meet somebody and give a business card, and you really never get to know everybody in the room or what everybody's about. So anybody that's coming tonight, I'd like you to think about, your 20-second elevator pitch, because we're going to walk around and we're going to let everybody introduce themselves to everybody. And I believe that I've gone to these networking events before. I used to go to one that was down in the Loop, and there'd be 150 people once a month there. And everybody'd stand in a circle in this room and just pass the microphone around, and they would introduce themselves. This is who I am. This is what I do. This is what I'm looking for. And at the end, you had 3 or 4 people that you knew were people that you wanted to go connect with and talk with. So it doesn't leave you guessing at these events. So we're going to have some live networking, couple raffles. I'm going to raffle off a couple things tonight. So I'm looking forward to it. We're going to have a blast.
It's going to be a good time. I look forward to having great conversations, connecting, get intentional connections, people that are like-minded, interested in doing something, collaborating. All those things are going to be opportunities for this evening.
Yeah. Hey, let's say hi to Melissa online this morning. Melissa said good morning to us, and Melissa, good to see you again. Glad that you're here. We have a number of people out on LinkedIn and that. If anybody has any comments or questions, throw them in the chat. We'll try and get them answered here. But I think that's any last comments or thoughts this morning, Ryan?
So you mentioned earlier about the, I used to be a very avid boxer. Now I could hit the gym a little bit more, but I would love to throw a plug out for my Real Estate Rumble, May 25th. No better opportunity to get in shape. Nothing motivates you than more than somebody trying to separate your head from your shoulders. So it's a great event where we have people from the real estate, lending, construction communities come out, donate their time and efforts, and all our proceeds benefit Mercy Home for boys and girls. Maybe Mike, you'll have me on again, and we'll dive into that little part of giving back, spending time, of your overall, time to a charity or organization that touches you in a certain way, especially in the heart, that you can get behind. This is one of those, and I'm very, very passionate about that.
Yeah, awesome. I know that you definitely have a heart for giving back and doing for others, and that's that's huge. I think in all of our lives, I think we all need to be doing something for somebody else, and no matter where your heart's at, right? Is it for homelessness, human trafficking, building wells in Africa, Mercy Home for boys and girls. With just real quick, talk about what Mercy Home is.
Great organization. There's several organizations that mainly focus on at-risk youth. So that's the children of our communities that especially underserved communities that have a distinct disadvantage because of lack of mentorship. So programs like Mercy Homes, definitely dive into those areas and look to save children from horrible situations and give them guidance. So anything that we can raise funds to for such an amazing organization that really just is pouring into the community and those that are the ones that are really in harm's way the majority of the time because of South Side, West Side, crime, gangs. This is where I'm very passionate. Like, we need to be in those communities right there with them, side by side, to show success stories and give underserved children in those communities opportunities, options, success stories, so they can see that they're not just stuck in this life that they think they have no escape from. There's other options, and once you make it clear that those other options and you give them a roadmap, it changes their trajectory. And that's what we want to do. We want to selfishly improve the south and west sides of the city of Chicago because we love the city, right? We want to see it better. We don't like seeing stories on the news about everything that that we're currently seeing. I'm not going to get too much into it, but everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we live in a time that every major city in the country is got its issues, got its problems, but Chicago is a tough city, and I think that I love what you're doing because you're on the front side, right? You're trying to get these kids before they get too deep into that, where they get in trouble and maybe even wind up in prison. And I'm on the other side. I'm working with these guys when they come out of prison, right? So it's interesting, but you might want to meet my good friend Rodney Phillips, Hot Rod.
I like it.
Yeah, he is. He works in crime prevention and trying to get guns off the street and nonviolence. It might be a great connection for you. So I'll work on putting that together.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, maybe the three of us can have lunch or something. It'd be great. And if you know somebody from Mercy Homes that'd be a great guest on Thursday morning, let me know.
For sure. Joe Ronca, who heads up their development. I mean, he'll tell you way more details of what they're doing, how they're affecting lives, their success stories. They've been doing this for so long now, and they're just an amazing organization that I've been blessed to find out about and give as much support as I possibly can to.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so I'll be there. I'm not boxing.
Come on, man.
I'll be clear about that right now. I'm not boxing. That was one sport I could never understand, really. As much as I like to watch it, so anyhow, I appreciate you being here this morning. I will see you tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, look forward to catching up again tonight. Appreciate you, your friendship, your business, and all the help that you provide people. So I'm going to move you out, say goodbye, and just hang with me in the waiting room for a minute.
Have a great day.
Hey, everybody, if you want to get a hold of Ryan, his information's at the bottom of the screen. Phone number, Ryan at the mortgage, mtgcorp.com. So, all right, Ryan, see you in a minute. Everybody, thanks for being here. I always say buckle up, right? So I hope that you buckled up for this morning because we had a great little ride. So I really can see the heart in Ryan and giving back and helping the community out. Listen, if you are in Chicago and you are coming out tonight, we'll look forward to seeing you at Hugh. If you haven't registered yet, shoot me a quick email. I'll get you registered for that event. We're going to have a great time. A lot of people. We have a ton of registrations already. Look forward to seeing you this evening. If I can answer any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Remember, think about your intentionality. Think about your leadership skills and how you empower other people around you, how you build into those around you, what you do for others and somebody else.